Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fumi Monet, and if you're new around here, I am a skincare, beauty, and lifestyle content creator. And if you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a fragrance video. This time I am doing a brand spotlight. I'll be sharing some bottles from one particular brand in my fragrance collection, as well as doing a very special unboxing on a new bottle that I recently picked up that I have had just at the top of my wish list for the longest time. I ended up buying my very first bottle of a niche fragrance inspired by the one and only Miss Rihanna, because there was a rumor that she wore this particular fragrance, and it is Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian. And this is how it looks. I was so excited to buy this fragrance, and at the time when I wanted to get it, there was no full-size bottle available at Sephora, so I actually ended up buying a little travel size that I still keep in, my purse or whatever. But I will tell you that it was definitely love at first smell. So Love Don't Be Shy is a very sweet fragrance. It has some white flower, some vanilla, some caramel, and I believe that the star ingredient is the orange blossom. Love Don't Be Shy is an oriental gourmand, so it's a very sweet fragrance. I would say it almost smells like a dessert or some type of pastry. It has top notes of neroli. I can smell some bergamot. It's a really sweet fragrance just from the first spray. Once it starts to dry down, I would say that you get some more of that white floral. The star of this fragrance is definitely, though, the orange blossom. It's so prominent and it stays pretty consistent throughout the life of the fragrance. Then finally, as it starts to dry down, you get some of that vanilla. You get a lot of caramel in this and sugar. Like, it's a very, very sweet fragrance. Now, some people say that this smells like bubblegum, and at times I can kind of see how they get that bubblegum vibe from this, but I would say it just smells like, it's very ooey gooey, like a dessert, honestly. It's edible. You do get some of that musk as it starts to dry down. Although it's very sweet, you do get some of those white floral notes that kind of balance it a little bit. And then towards the dry down, you do experience a little bit of spiciness and powdery accords as well. So it does make this a really well-rounded fragrance. I'd say it smells very comforting. It's a very feminine fragrance to me because of that vanilla and caramel. It just smells edible, like you just want to take a bite out of that person. I think it's really modern as well. Like, this doesn't smell like an old-fashioned type of fragrance. And I'd say that the projection is pretty moderate. I do anywhere from like 5 to 6 sprays of this, and although I definitely have to be in the right kind of mood to wear Love Don't Be Shy because it is very sweet, this is definitely a fragrance that you can wear year-round. I think that this is appropriate for like an office or a date night or a dinner or going out. It kind of is pretty versatile to me. I'd say that you do have to have a high tolerance for sweet fragrances to really enjoy this. Some people have said that it is cloying, like it smells too sweet, and I can definitely see how that's possible because that caramel note is very prominent in here. But it almost reminds me of like an orange creamsicle or something. The neroli and that orange blossom just give it a really beautiful sweetness, and it's definitely very crowd pleasing. You will get compliments when you wear this. The sillage is pretty moderate. I'd say that if you wear this, especially if you're in an office or something, it's probably about 3 to 4 feet behind you, and the projection, when you do anywhere from 4 to 6 sprays, you're probably going to get at least 3 feet around you of people being able to smell it. But it does start to dry down to more of a skin scent by probably about the 4th hour or so of wear, and then it will last on your skin for around 8 hours. So I would say that the longevity is pretty moderate as well. This is a nice fragrance. Like I said, you definitely have to have an appreciation for sweeter notes, but it is really lovely, and this was my first introduction to Kilian. The next fragrance I picked up from Kilian is Black Phantom, and this one I've had for a few weeks, and I specifically picked this up to wear as a winter fragrance, and I just absolutely adore Black Phantom. It opens up with notes of caramel and coffee. It has a really strong chocolate accord and a really strong almond note as well that's pretty prominent throughout the life of the fragrance. Now, although I really love Black Phantom, I will say that it does lean a little bit masculine because of the rum. I would say that the caramel and the chocolate does smooth it out a little bit more. So I personally think that, you know, it's a unisex fragrance. Like, anybody can wear it and enjoy it, but it's a really delicious and very boozy fragrance. This is a fragrance that it has moderate projection, and so I would say that you're not going to get more than like maybe 1.5 to 2 feet around you of this fragrance in terms of people being able to smell it, and the sillage is probably just 2 feet as well. But for some reason, this feels like a heavy fragrance on me. I remember I wore it one day and I didn't know that the weather was going to warm up, and so I remember like by mid-afternoon I was starting to smell a little funky. But I will say that this definitely performs best in cooler weather. I think that this is more suited also to be an evening fragrance as well. I think that this is a fragrance you can wear to go out, maybe to dinner or to a nice occasion. This would make a great date fragrance because it's not super overbearing. And so it's the kind of fragrance that, you know, you can sit close to each other and the other person can enjoy it on you rather than you're just projecting like across the table or, you know, across the room. This is a pretty linear fragrance, so it doesn't change too much on my skin. Like when I smell the caramel, the coffee, the rum, some of the spiciness in it, and the almonds, like it pretty much stays the same throughout the time I have it on. This is a fragrance that I probably would need to carry a small size on me to reapply if it was one I planned to wear all day. But I think as an evening fragrance, it does perform really well, especially for what it is. I think it smells so edible. It's very sexy to me. It's one that I definitely recommend people smell first because I think that it's kind of a love or hate fragrance because it feels heavier, and so that's why I think it's best for the winter time. But if you know that you enjoy more of a boozy fragrance, the chocolate in this is more of a dark chocolate to me. Like there's a little bit of, it's very full bodied. So it's not like a candy bar or anything, but if you know those are notes that you might enjoy, I would say check it out. But I don't know if I would recommend this as like a blind buy because I know that it's either a love or hate fragrance, but I love it and I'm really happy I got it. This is actually my second favorite Kilian fragrance that's in my collection. The third Kilian fragrance in my collection is my most recent acquisition, and that is Angel Share. I tried to get this initially during the Sephora sale, but they took it out of stock the night before the sale, and then they put it back in stock the morning after the sale, which was very irritating, but I had a gift card, so I ended up getting it anyway. But this is the presentation of the bottle, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. This particular fragrance is part of a collection called the Liqueurs collection that just came out this year. They released Angel Share as well as a second fragrance. I believe it's called Roses on Ice. Angel Share just kind of spoke to me a little bit more. Roses on Ice just wasn't really my vibe, so I didn't get that, but I was really excited to get this and I haven't had any regrets. It's in this gorgeous crystal bottle that looks like a crystal cup that you would use to drink, you know, nice cognac from. The top is actually plastic though, which I think it's pretty well made because you can't really tell when you look at it. And I mean, plastic tops are pretty standard. I can't think of any fragrance that I own that doesn't have either a metal or a plastic top. The other two fragrances, yeah, they have just, you know, it's not a glass top. And I think I read that it's to prevent it from chipping or anything if you drop it. So I mean, you can buy a larger bottle and actually refill your bottles when they start to get low, which is really nice. And I think it's, you know, it's a pretty sustainable model as well, especially if you have a signature fragrance or a fragrance that you really love and you don't have to just keep, you know, repurchasing the bottle every time you finish. So this is how the bottle looks. Angel Share is considered to be an oriental vanilla, And I've worn this 2 days in a row already, and I can tell you that it is so boozy. It's so dark, it's so sensual. This is a very sexy fragrance. From the initial blast, I get a very strong cognac note that is very prominent. And it makes sense because, you know, the fragrance is inspired by cognac. And then once it starts to dry down, I get some of that vanilla and some of that tonka bean. It's interesting because I've talked to a few people that said that Angel Share kind of reminds them a little bit of Baccarat Rouge. And I can kind of see that, especially in the heart of the fragrance. And so I would say it does have kind of a Baccarat Rouge vibe. I'd say specifically Baccarat Rouge Extrait. I think it might be maybe because of the bitter almond. I don't know. It's giving it like a smoothness that they might be cousins, you know? So the cinnamon note in this pulls very strong on me. I think it almost reminds me of like an apple pie. Some people said it reminds them of a Cinnabon, but it smells absolutely edible. I think this is honestly a very addictive fragrance. Like, it's so grown. Like, this is a very sexy fragrance. I can't stop smelling it when I have it on. I'm constantly bringing up my wrist up to my nose or like pulling my neckline up to get wafts of it. The performance is pretty good. I would say that I get about 4 hours where I can smell this pretty moderately on myself, and then the rest of the time it becomes a skin scent. I'll personally tell you that I do about 5 or 6 sprays of this. I'll do a couple sprays on my collarbone, behind my neck, behind my ears, because I really want to get as much of that sillage as I can get, and those are my pulse points. Since I'm wearing long sleeves, you know, I don't really get the insides of my elbows, but I'm very expressive with my hands, so I will get the insides of my wrists. That way, when I'm talking, you know, people get wafts of Angel Share. This is a fragrance that I probably would take in a travel size, maybe atomizer. That way I can touch it up, because it's one that I think smells best when it is projecting. It's one that people will absolutely be drawn to you when you have on. Now, personally, I think that this is a great going out fragrance. If holiday parties were a thing this year, I would say wear this to every holiday party or dinner or anything that you're invited to. This would be a great date night fragrance. I think that because of the cognac, it does pull a little bit masculine, but the vanilla and the praline definitely kind of smooth it out. So I think this is a unisex fragrance. Anybody can definitely enjoy this, but it is a fragrance that I just feel like I want to wear this and get dressed up. I've worn it to work the last couple of days because that's really the only place I have to go. So there's no rules on where you can or cannot wear this, but I feel like this is a fragrance that I would want to put on with like some leather pants, some high heel boots, and like, you know, like a V-neck sweater or something, you know. Let me do another. It just smells so good. I am totally intoxicated by Angel Share. I think that if you like Kilian fragrances, if you're a fan of Kilian, that this is absolutely a fragrance that you need to check out, because I think it's one of the best releases that I've tried this year. I do think that this I would say this is like a cinnamon rum cake, if I was to describe this. The rum, the cognac, it's very prominent, but it's very sexy. It kind of dies down a little bit to give it some smoothness. This is my favorite Kilian fragrance at the moment. So drop a comment down below to let me know if you've tried this, or if there are any Kilian fragrances that you're also interested in trying. I'm definitely keeping my eye on Kilian as a fragrance house because I've just been intrigued by several of the fragrances that they have. Like, I think they have a very modern approach to how they create their fragrances. And there's a couple I have on my wish list right now. I definitely have Woman in Gold on my wish list. I haven't tried it yet. I'm probably going to try to get a sample of it pretty soon. I also have Good Girl Gone Bad. I know that's a favorite for a lot of people as well. So be sure to drop me a comment down below if you have a suggestion about a Kilian fragrance that you think that I might like. Hit that subscription button and the notification bell up in the corner if you enjoyed this content, so you can know anytime I have a new upload. I definitely will be sharing more brand spotlights from my fragrance collection. Additionally, if you're looking for more fragrance content, you can find me on Instagram at Fumi Monet. I am the same handle on all my social media platforms. I do have fragrance content on TikTok as well. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.